Hello and welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Swing Wing Sing here with another new build. Today we have the Zvezda 1x100 scale ZSU-23-4 anti-aircraft gun, better known as ZSU-23 Shilka, which in Russian is Sovietska Zinitnaya Samohodnaya Ustanovska, which actually, if you translate into English, is Soviet anti-air force weapon installation. So as I give you a little rundown around the box, it's standard Zvezda packaging, and here at the back you have a single picture showing how the built model will look like, a few instructions on the right here, and on top it says that the completely built model is 6.7 centimeters in length and has 29 parts in total. So as we open the box, the first thing we are greeted with is a single plastic bag with the instruction sheet and the decal sheet, of course. Interesting instruction sheet here with the construction of the turret in one single step. And as I turn it around, it gives the construction of the lower hull and the rest of the parts in two simple steps. Have a look at how detailed these parts are. Very nicely done parts. I'll bring you a close-up here and look at that. The side skirting of the turret, amazing bit of detail here. And this is a 1x100 scale model, so it's not my usual 72nd scale, so it's much smaller. And look at the amount of detail that they've put in here on the top of the turret. Great bit of deets. Now this is the standard decal sheet that comes included with the kit. It's just simply got repetitive numbers from 0 to 9. This is practically useless for me because I'll be building an Indian Army version. Now here you can just see my fingers blocking all the view because basically the gun is so small you just can't make out in the camera what's happening, but it's only when I start building the gun into the upper part of the turret is when you're able to see that, you know, the parts literally snap fit and they are very tight and snug fits. You just have to push fit them and everything gets assembled very quickly. Now here I'm assembling the rest of the turret parts, and you can see that it required a little bit of cleanup once it was off the sprue. So I'm cleaning it up with my hobby knife or X-Acto knife and now assembling the remaining parts of the turret. Here you can see me push fitting the side skirts of the turret, and you can just hear the clicks wherein the parts align with each other very nicely. And there you go. That's the turret assembly done. So basically now you can see me cutting out the lower portion and upper portion of the lower hull of the Shilka. And practically all of this is being done in one single sitting. All the recording, etc. is happening real time. And as you just saw, those locator pins were so nicely positioned that you could hear the clicks as they are aligning with each other. Now here's an error that I induced on my own, and I will talk about this shortly, but I just want you to hear the clicks. And there you go. In a few minutes, the lower hull is almost ready. And coming back to the error that I was talking about, so the instructions are not clear. And if you go by the instructions, you will obviously feel that the upper part of the lower hull needs to be assembled first. But that's an error I also made. And now you can see that I'm finding it a little difficult to fix the frontal armor of the Shilka into its position. So if you're working on this kit, do note that the upper part of the lower hull will be the last to be assembled. You will have to first assemble the frontal armor, and then the upper part of the lower hull will fit in. Now the tracks and the road wheels and sprockets are all in a single construction, so they just slot into their positions very nicely, and then you can assemble the turret of the Shilka, and there you go. That's the entire build complete. Now, of course, the instructions don't mention it anywhere, but I did feel that the joints needed a little bit of glue, so I just used my Fevikwik cyanoacrylate glue to fix the joints. Alright, last piece of the puzzle is this part 828, which is basically a lever that holds the two upper and the two lower cannons together, so that as you're moving it with your finger, all the four cannons move together. This is a really small and fiddly part, and as you can see, I cut it off the sprue. It's hardly visible here on the cutting mat, so you'll have to be very careful. I had to do a little bit of cleanup with the X-Acto knife because there was some flash left around on this part. And then the alignment was a very tough job. It took me about 25 to 30 minutes just to align that. Now, the point to remember is, and it's mentioned in the instructions as well, that you need to push out the upper two guns a little bit and push the lever into the slots that is there between the upper two guns. Once that slot and the lever aligns together, then you leave it free, and then it will automatically align with the lower two guns. You can then gently push out the lower two guns and then fix the or align the lever with the lower two guns. Very fiddly and took a lot of patience and time, but in the end, of course, I was able to achieve it. Finally, I primed it with Bosnic Grey primer, and here you can see me painting the sand color, which is the first color on the Shilka that I painted up. I went for the Indian Army paint scheme, as you can see here in the picture. So basically, this is a 4-tone camo with the desert base color, followed by sap green, then leaf green, and then the dirty brown or dead leaf brown, as I call it. So those are the 4 colors that I'll be using on my build. Right, so once the base coat of the desert tan had dried up, I then started painting, in fact, freehanding the leaf green color, and this is sprayed straight out of the bottle, thinned with water, and spraying at a pressure of 30 psi from my airbrush. And then I moved on to the third camo tone, which is the brick brown color. In fact, this is improvised with mixing brown, white, and red in various shades to get the appropriate tonality of the color. Then I moved on to the third camo tone, which is sap green. This is Fevicryl sap green straight out of the bottle, thinned with water, again sprayed at 30 psi, and this is masked with the blue tack. Finally, once that camo was done, I then painted up the phased array radar, and this was done with Fevicryl Grey, which is simply black and white mixed in various quantities to get the lighter gray shade. And the final step was to detail the 4 cannons, and I simply used Fevicryl black to do that detailing. And then it was time to detail or dry brush the silver onto the tank tracks. Basically, I've used Camlin silver, and this is just dry brushing the silver on the tank tracks. Final step was to weather it, so I used a light brown wash, and this is simply Camlin soft pastels, and I just liberally applied it in places where I think a fairly new and clean Shilka would be weathered. when it is in action in the fields. And I finally called this build complete. Here you can see it on the podium in all its glory, and you can see that it's turned out pretty nice. It's as per my expectations. I just used a very subtle weathering to show the dirt and grime effects, but the Shilka has come out really nice. And with that, Swing Wing Sing signs off. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button. Do consider subscribing if you haven't already, and click the bell icon so that you receive all the updates that are coming in the future videos. Thank you very much for staying in tune. Bye bye. Take care. I'll see you in the next one.